Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I hope everyone's doing well. It's early. My family is not up yet. So let's talk a little bit. Um, there's a series I completed, the Alien Overlord series. You've heard me talk about it before. So the last two installments came out this month. Yes, the last one was released in December, and then it's 5 books. So the first three had been out for a little while, and then to wrap up the series, the author did two last installments. So the fourth one was released, I think, in November, and the fifth one was definitely released in December. And so you've heard me gush about it. I really liked it. I liked Taylor Vaughn's writing for the first three. It was a different concept. It reminded me of um, Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians. And I liked some aspects, of course, were, a bit hard to take, but I stuck with it and I could see where the author was going. So it didn't bother me that much. Okay, now she set up the premise. I'm going to try not to make it too spoilery because I have a tendency to do that, and I apologize for people who don't like spoilers. Maybe I will try to um, label the videos if they have spoilers, just so you're prepared going in. But anyway, so it was the first three were his to steal, and his to keep, right? And if you see me glancing, it's my Kindle and my notes. And the last two were theirs to mate and theirs to forever, because it's one book, but she broke it up into two parts about the same couple, not couple, because it's three, it was polyamory throuple. Um, anyway, um, okay, so rewind. Let's kind of see, because it was good, but I wasn't really happy with some parts of it. Okay, you could still read it, you could still enjoy it, but there were some parts that made me like lift an eyebrow, like, really? Okay, so the setup. Humans are traveling in space now. There's a colony ship that was heading for a planet they were gonna terraform and like live on. They crash landed on a different planet in a different solar system. The planet is barren. It's really hard for them to eke out an existence. They're dying. The alien leaders in that space, the Zals, they've discovered the humans, and they make a deal, like an accord with them. And so the Zals are in a war. We're in a war, 3 generations, and one of the um, consequences of the war was that they were having infertility issues. They were not having kids. And so they were like, okay, let's strike a deal with the humans. We need kids, and you need food and supplies and a way to survive. And so they did that. And on the Zond side of things, everything's working out. Like, they're winning. On the human side of things, they're being taken advantage of. Their women are being used, and in some cases abused. And so, they're not happy. And so the first books start off with the king, with one of the women running away to save her baby, her hybrid baby, because she doesn't want to give it up. The moms are now, like, they get attached to the baby boys. They have to send the boys to the Zal planet, but they can keep the girls. And so they have to. The mom gets attached, and she The heroine in book one, her sister, is the opening scene. Her sister jumps off a cliff with her and her son. She didn't mean to do it. She was really running away, and then she tripped and she went over the edge. And so the main character in book one, she really harbors major resentment for the dolls because she's thinking um, you you caused my sister to not be around anymore. And so the king, when it's time for his turn to go and visit the colony to get an heir, he is immediately smitten with the female character who happened to be the sister of the girl who, you know, fell off the cliff. Okay, that sets it up, and you think, okay, so this girl doesn't have much of a role to play. No, there comes some intrigue, right? And so book one follows the king, book two follows one of the commanders, book three. So come to find out as we go through the books, the society is a bit uneven. So it's only the higher um, echelon of society that's even being afforded the right to have kids. Like the regular people in the Zal community, they're not being given the opportunity. And if they're not part of the military, they're not being given the opportunity to get a chance to be part of the ceremony and have a future to have kids, hybrid or no. So then once Kira is her name, marries the king, she starts to make reforms, things start to happen, go in place. Later on, you realize that um, those Zals, those evil scientists, have been stealing away girls from Earth, from New Terra, the colony, and enslaving them, right? And running experiments on them. Okay. Um, then, then later down, things are starting kind of sort of to change, but there's pushback from the General Assembly. They don't want too much change happening, and it's like a kind of a tug of war within the society. And then you realize that the hybrids that the humans thought were being living their best lives and things, they don't have many rights either. Them having rights is really um, um, dependent on their family and the family status and how much the family wants them to. The governmental system doesn't give them any rights. So you follow book one, book two, book three, neat story, doing the things. Diversity is great between the aliens, having different jewel tones, between the human woman being Asian, white, Hispanic looking, black looking. The author does a good job describing all these different people. So it's very diverse, which is nice, which is why I really like the series of books. So then you're thinking, oh my gosh, how are they going to solve this fertility issue? Because this can't keep going on, right? It's unbalanced, and there's going to be a lot of turmoil for future generations. They need to try and fix their fertility issue. So books 4 and 5, which is actually book 4, but in 2 parts, um, follow now a scientist. He works for the health administration, and he's made it his goal to fix the fertility issue. The sister in book 1 that fell off the cliff with her baby, come to find out, she was in captivity. They put her in stasis for years. So they found her and the baby. The scientist's baby daddy. It's so complicated, but you have to weed through, right? So the scientist's baby daddy, and then he has a cousin who's a hybrid who was also in captivity with the girl, and then they got free, and that's how they connected. So the hybrid fell in love with her, and then the scientist is catching feelings for her, but he's fighting it because he's I don't want to deal with humans anymore. I want my people to be able to have our own kids, blah blah blah. So it follows their whole journey in the 2 parts of the book, right? And so you're thinking, it's gotta be like they have to have the babies and figure it out. And this is where it just kind of fell apart for me. First of all, I felt like the last two books, they felt a little rushed. They didn't seem to follow the same build and progression as the first three. So they're like, oh, we figured it out. We figured out how to have babies. Oh my gosh, guys. And I'm glad this book doesn't take itself too seriously, really. But as a reader, I was just like, what? So the reason why they weren't having babies, and they made it sound like so convoluted, supposedly, it's all females. Uh, then basically, they just needed to learn how to find pleasure. The minute they found pleasure, all of a sudden, their wombs work. Oh my god. When I tell you, when I realized that that was what was happening, I was like, wait, what? But I was too far down the rabbit hole. I was too invested. I had to finish. I had to finish the stories. Then I come to realize the author is a team. It's a writing duo. It's two people that collaborated to write the series of stories. They at the very end of the last book, There's Two Forever, there's a little blurb and it says they will no longer be writing together due to conflicts, whatever the conflicts might be. And then in my head, I was like, perhaps that's why. Perhaps they had like obligations to fulfill, and they wanted to get the books out for the fans. Um, but you could kind of tell that it was just. I'm like, you couldn't think of anything else, like you couldn't think of anything else, and maybe they couldn't, which is why it was the way it was. But suffice it to say, I was a little disappointed. Like I thought like, whoa, like was it like some kind of biological warfare? You know what I mean? And like they had to come up with like a cure for, and even like those scenes where they were so called like fixing the problem, they weren't. Oh, it was more like it was just disappointing. So it was disappointing. I read all of them because I needed to have conclusion. If I'm going to recommend anything, I would recommend the first three. And don't go into it expecting anything great. Don't go into it expecting like I compared it to Ruby Dixon. Don't go in expecting like Ruby Dixon level of like, the authors did I suppose the best they could. It's a decent story. They took the time. I think the first release was like 2019. So this is a few years of them like trying to write a story, and tell a story. So I read it. I enjoyed it for the most part. The last two books, they just, they threw me. But I finished it. I am recommending it because some people, you might be like me, and you might start it off and be like, I have to see how it ends. You might start it and be like, what is this foolishness? And that's okay too. That's okay because reading is subjective. So you might like it, you might not like it. I'm just saying this is a complete series. It's an alien romance, it's sci-fi, it's got diverse characters. The first three books are good. The last two books are kind of odd, but you can still get through them. Don't take the story too seriously because you're going to be really disappointed. Just go in expecting a fun, ride. There's spice, but the spice is negligible. Like, I sometimes when I'm kind of like getting detached from the story, I just skip over it because it doesn't even matter anymore. I just want to like see how it's going to play out. So there's my recommendation. The Alien Overlord series, 5 books, but the last 2 books is actually 2 parts of the same book. I hope you give it a shot, and if you don't give it a shot, that's okay too. All you need to do is just keep on reading. Bye, guys.